I'm Daniel.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is In a Nutshell Podcast. Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of In a Nutshell Podcast.
Where we break down all movies, shows, and all the news that come with them. How are we feeling today?
Man, we are in the big 2026.
Big 2026.
Great new things happening, and we have a very special show for you guys today. But before we get into that, anything new this year?
For movies-wise?
Movies-wise?
Like, that's coming out?
No, that you've seen.
Oh. It's not a new movie. Or sorry, it's actually a show, Chernobyl.
Oh, I heard about that. I actually saw it on Max.
It was short, but it was perfect. I don't think it needs to be any longer. It was great.
Yeah, I actually saw the little thing on Max, but I saw Primate yesterday.
Oh, really?
Nah.
Really?
Well, not my thing. It was about a monkey that got rabies, and then he ended up...
Oh, my God. Someone at my old job used to tell me to watch that all the time.
Yeah, nah. It was all right. It was one of those like weird body horror slasher movies, you know. But we're also Ryan's film got picked to go into production this year. What Remains of Us, we'll be shooting that around March. So congrats to Ryan. He got his film to go into production. So we're going to get into our special episode today. I have a very special guest for you guys today. He is a good friend of ours. We've been on a couple film sets with him. We recently just got off a film set about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago, if I got my timing correctly. For his short film, The Next Wash, I want to introduce our special guest today, Jermil. Welcome to the podcast today, man.
Thank you guys for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. And we're obviously very excited.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out.
Congratulations to you, Ryan, for your film being selected
Thank
for
you so
production.
much.
That's a big deal.
Thank you. So I think we're going to start the episode with just a brief introduction of what do you mainly do in the industry and how long have you been doing it for?
So I moved here to the United States in 2018 to first study film because I was coming from Jamaica where, no experience whatsoever in anything to do with film. Came here completely blank. So I was a student at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and then I graduated in 2021, and I've just been making film since. I do photography and videography as a business, but film is really where my heart is, and I've been doing that since 2021, making a film each year since 2021.
Each
awesome.
year?
Each year. Actually, since 2020, since 2018, I've made 2019. I've made one film every year since 2019.
Wow.
Guys, that is perseverance if you've ever seen it. You want to talk about being driven to make a movie a year.
That's
is
dedication.
hard to do.
Dedication.
Hard to do. That is very, very hard to do.
So when the writer of The Next Wash approached me about this, I'm like, we need something to, because we were running out of time. That's why we ended up doing it in the last week of the year. So I just wanted to keep that record going, so that came at a great time for me.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Now that we're getting into like your background, in film and whatnot, and even Ryan, here we can attest. Like a lot of people that we talk to have been in other careers and whatnot before, and I hear that you started making short films around 2021, and your background from Jamaica. Yeah. Did you have another career path at some point, or did you have another job before film?
I worked in finance actually.
Oh,
interesting.
Business.
I studied banking, finance, and economics at my first university. Graduated from that degree, and I worked in wealth management and finance. I thought I was going to become this big economist and work at the World Bank and do all that stuff. But you never really know something until you're in it. And I get in it, and it's very boring. It's very, very boring. And I sat there and I think to myself, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? And the answer is no. I visited the United States in 2017 just for holiday before I continued working. And there's no other way for me to describe this. A celestial beam just passed Earth, hit me and said, film is where it is. You have a liking for it, so find a way to make it happen. That same night, I started some deep research about, okay, how am I going to approach this? How am I going to start it? I decided to go the academic route. Other people can just start making stuff and learn as you go. But I decided to take the academic route, forged a plan to move here in 2018. I moved here in 2018, enrolled, and just kept doing stuff at the moment I landed.
Awesome.
Now I'm here.
Yeah, and you're a professor at Palm Beach College, right?
Palm Beach Atlantic University. Yeah, I'm an adjunct professor. That's my second actually job there. My primary job is I make videos for the internal videos for the university.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did you ever do film before you landed here, or?
Before I landed in the United States, I did not know what a tripod was. I knew nothing whatsoever. Okay. Nothing whatsoever. So when I say I came here with a clean slate from zero, I really mean it. From nothing at all.
And how did you learn?
That's great.
Where did you learn from? Like YouTube, or did you go to college?
So I enrolled at Palm Beach Atlantic University in their cinema arts program. But it's not only that I knew very strongly that this is really what I wanted to do. And even outside of classes, I would be doing just films all the time, just trying to learn as much as I can, because I was a little bit anxious about it because, I'm a little bit older than the typical, having already had a career before and a university before. I felt a little bit behind. So I'm like, okay, I need to catch up quickly. So I'd just be doing films as much as I can outside the classroom. A professor would give an assignment, make a montage video or whatever. I take that assignment and make it into a whole film. And that's what I've just been doing right throughout my college days. And it just continued after I graduated.
I agree with you, Ryan. Isn't that not our philosophy in school?
Yeah, exactly.
We literally take our films and submit it, like our projects, and submit them to festivals, right? That's literally what we do.
Like all through the very first part of this semester, actually through Broward College, like it'll just be very simple assignments, like, oh, create a little tutorial video on how to do something. No, there's some very minimum requirements, but instead of just be like, okay, this is how you pop some popcorn, put the bag in the microwave, we would make a whole film out of it. And
let me say, so my very first film was for a course called Film Appreciation. And there's no film requirement for this course. But there is, at the very end, the professor says, you can either do a film essay or you can make a video. And so I'm like, all right, that's my cue right there. And I used that to make my very first short film. It's called Coffee Break. And it ended up being a 20-minute film.
Ooh,
actually, my very first film.
Oh my God.
20-minute film.
What?
And that film is one of my most important films because it's from doing that I learned how to do a shot list. I still remember creating the shot list for that, and that was my first time doing it. And so that for me is one of the true values of just doing work outside of your main curriculum, because then that's when you learn stuff. You can watch all the videos you want, read all the books you want, listen to all the people you want. You have to do it yourself.
I agree. I completely agree. And real quick, just before Ryan gets into our next topic here, let me ask you something, because we are now taking film business in our spring semester,
yes.
right? I didn't realize, and I know you've talked about it, and I've heard other professionals talk about it. Business is such a gigantic part in film. I don't know about unfortunately, but it kind of is, because you have to raise money, get everything. A lot of it is about money, right? You want to give your insight about how important, just to let the audience know how important like the business part of film is.
We're all entrepreneurs. People get carried away by the fairy tale of film too often when you're starting out. You think about, we just had the Golden Globes. When people think about film, they think about the glamour of the film sets. They think about the glamour of the award ceremonies and the award shows and picking up these awards and all these accolades. But the truth is, it's a business. That's fundamentally, it's a career. It's a way of life for people to make money and to make a living. And a lot of people don't think about it that way until it's too late. And so you have to think about, one, how can you be of value to other entities? Because everyone is thinking entrepreneurially about how can we advance each other's incomes? How can we generate wealth in this space? And so you have to think deals, you have to think marketing, you have to think collaborations, and how can you offer value to somebody else, and how can they offer value to you? Because it's an exchange, it's a business exchange.
For sure.
And if you don't think about it that way and get too caught up on the fairy tale aspect of filmmaking, you will get left behind, unfortunately. You can make the prettiest, the best looking films you want, but if you don't have the business background for that project, the business, marketing, distribution, all of that, then you're going to get left behind. Ryan Coogler right now is a great example of that, and his business acumen with Proximity Media and work he's doing previously with Sinners.
Hey, the budget was $90 million.
That was crazy.
The profit he made off of that, almost $400 million?
Immense.
And, I mean, don't get me wrong, the movie was amazing.
And they did it without any big production company contribution.
No, they didn't.
And so that just shows you now why independent media, independent films companies are so important. And it's important in the development of those independent studios, the knowledge of the business side of filmmaking.
Oh, for sure.
That's where it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
There's two halves of filmmaking. There's the actual making the film, and then the other half is like hidden, but it's the business side of it that no one really knows until they're actually taking their step foot into film. But I guess this kind of leads us into our next topic of on the business side, that there are studios, and we want to feature Studio 561, a part of you, of coming here. So
So bouncing off of like the business point, real quick before we get into this, there's always that spark into film, right? If Ryan can bounce into this real quick, it's just about that spark in film. Ryan will get into like real quick about like what was your like a moment, a book, a movie, or something that sparked like your passion for film.
I said earlier that it's like a celestial beam just passing Earth and hit me. It really does feel like that. I remember exactly where I was. I was in a room. I was watching Suits at the time, a series. And I'm thinking, this is just so fascinating. And I've always had a liking for movies, but I've never truly thought about, okay, can I make movies myself? And then I conceptualized the idea about maybe this is something I can take on seriously. And then it's when I moved here and I directed my second project. So this is in 2019 summer. I spoke to my professors. All right, this is going to be my first summer after moving here as a student. I want to do a project. And I got a whole crew together. They were all like, how is this freshman getting us all here together to do this film? And it's when I was doing that film and in the actual process of directing and seeing the vision come to life on this little monitor on the C200 we were using.
There it is.
That's when you realize, all right, this is for me right here. Just speaking to an actor or an actress and then telling the DP and the camera operator how to move to make this happen. And you see the motion happen there. And you realize in this little moment, you just made that happen. You just made this little movement happen, and you're watching it, and you're like, "This could be on TV."
Yep.
And you realize, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, exactly. It's
Exactly like that.
little things like that where you sit there and go, "This is what I want to do."
Yeah.
Exactly. This is what I want to do. And speaking of this is what I want to do, I want to get into this real quick, right? Studio 561. You're wearing the shirt, right?
Yes.
You're wearing the shirt here. You're obviously
Have to represent.
Are you the owner or co-owner?
I'm the co-owner along with my good friend Mark Sater.
Mark, yes. And by the way, guys, if you don't know, Mark was the screenwriter and actor for his
The Next Watch, yeah.
the Next Watch Restore, which we'll get into at the later part of the show. But I just want to get into real quick, and Ryan will get into the rest.
Yeah.
How did you come about Studio 561? Where'd it come from?
Well, so we had some discussions when we were making one of our films toward the end of 2024. And we're like, we're doing all these films because by this point we had already done 3.5 films basically. And so we're doing it and we're thinking we need to kind of add some structure to this. So it was really born out of a need for structure and a need for identity and brand marketing and just a formal entity with which we can attach the work that we're doing rather than just be like freelance filmmakers just going about our days. And so it started off with that kind of idea. But across 2025, as we have seen the industry significantly begin to move to independent film production, the studio now has taken on added significance. And so our vision for it has kind of skyrocketed across 2025. And now the landscape has changed a little bit. So it's not just an entity with which we can attach the films we're doing. It is now our goal to make it one of, if not the biggest film hubs from a networking standpoint, from a collaboration standpoint, definitely in South Florida, hopefully Florida, and then in the future United States. And so again, I point to Proximity Media because they're setting a very good example for young independent filmmaking. And so our vision is we want in 10 years' time, we are churning out films, 5 films, feature films annually. We are providing short film opportunities for new up-and-coming directors and even experienced directors, a means by which to tell their stories. Because I'm thinking to myself, did I have this opportunity when I was a student and when I just started out? No, I didn't. So there's a vacuum there to be filled. And again, throughout 2025, as the vision is enhancing, I think to myself, this is a good vacuum that we can fill. And so that's kind of how the vision for Studio 561 has evolved in like the last 12 months.
That's great. I know actually when I was just on set on the Next Watch, I know I asked you this question. What does 561 represent?
Oh, it's just the area code. So we were thinking, this is kind of funny. We were thinking to ourselves, the whole idea of naming the studio. And of course we explored the route of coming up with some fancy catchy little name, but then we also wanted to have a good mix of simplicity and just keep it simple. And we drew inspiration from A24 because they had letter and numbers. Mm-hmm. So we were like, How about studio and our area code 561? Quite simply. And so it's very simple. But if I could say on the idea of names and branding, the brand is what you make it into and not necessarily from the name. Let me give you a classic example that I tell people all the time. If you go back to the 1980s and some guy on the street walked up to you and said, I'm going to make a company and I'm going to call it Apple. You would have looked at him and be like, you mean the fruit? What are you talking about? Right? And we all know what Apple is today.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to what you make the brand into rather than just the name. Because the name can be anything, right?
Yeah.
My friend Mark jokes all the time. We could call it Wagwan Productions, but no, we're not doing that. So we'll make Studio 561 into the kind of brand and company that we want it to be.
That's great.
The studio will be synonymous with the product that we make, i.e., great films.
Awesome. Now, I'm glad to hear that. And Ryan can attest, and Ryan will talk about this next topic. He was script supervisor of the Next Wash, and I was the gaffer of Next Wash. Had the best time on your set.
It was so much fun.
Literally everybody was a friend, but Ryan will get into this next topic here.
All right, yeah. So we're going to quickly talk about the Next Wash.
Yes.
And how did it go?
The Next Wash is it's technically my 11th film, my 11th short film technically, and it is by far the most seamless film set I've ever had. A lot of that is down to just the incredible people we had working with, you two included, obviously.
Thank you.
But also the pre-production and preparation work was very good. And we were able to map out precisely what we want to do in this space. The attitude of everyone was great. We had a good mix of experience and character. You know, we had our DP Warren, who was a very experienced DP on the set. So yeah, it was a flawless film in my opinion. We usually for most of our films, you know, we have to have a pickup day where we get pickup shots, or we have to do ADR for this or that. We only needed 2 shots to pick up, and I just went and got them the other night.
That's what I'm talking about.
So we've gotten all the shots we need for the project, and now we're in post. So quite seamless set, and I'm looking forward to many more sets like that.
That's great. Can you give a very brief synopsis of the Next Wash?
Yes, it's a story about routine. 2 friends, 2 strangers meet in a laundromat. They come there. They happen to come there the same time every week. They develop a relationship over time. One of them is hiding trauma. 1 week their routine falls through. It doesn't stick to what they've been doing. When the other person returns, they realize they learn something tragic has happened, and it's an eye-opening experience into what the writer Mark describes as mental health and men's emotional intelligence and awareness. Yeah. So I'd say that's pretty much what it's about.
Okay, because I was going to get into that just briefly on why did you guys want to make this film? What was the whole purpose of why you guys were so passionate about making this film?
Mark wrote the script, and it is based on a personal experience that he had. And so he feels strongly that from that experience, this is a story that he wants to tell, a message that he wants to deliver to the public. I read it. It didn't resonate strongly at first, but sometimes you have to give it some time to marinate, right?
For sure.
And then it then resonated with me. I thought the message was good. I thought the cinematic potential was good. That's always an important consideration too. It was within budget, and we thought, we have the time, we have the resources. Let's make this, let's get it done. And I'm glad we did.
And we got it done. And he got it done. And he directed very well. The acting was very good. Everything about the process of that film was we got a lot of shots. And, actually, the way that you did the shot, like, broke down, I've never seen that before, actually. Yeah. 'Cause I'm used to the normal, master scene method of any set, even the one feature that me and Ryan worked on.
Yes.
It was same thing. We got to do the wide shot, then we got to do all the cover shots. But you had a different way of going about it, which was very interesting. Ryan knows more about it because he was a script supervisor, but it was pretty interesting. But we're going to quickly get into this next little topic here. And if you, do you have a projection of when... Sorry, we'll get back to this. Do you have a projection of when the Next Wash will be done, and can anybody will be able to see it at some point?
I expect it to be finished in late February. Okay. We will have a premiere for all of the next films we're working on in May of this year. Both of you are invited to that, by the way.
Thank you. Woo!
And then thereafter, we expect it to be released in the summer because we want to get it through the festival circuit. We wanted to get it as much exposure as possible. Mark is very passionate about that. And then yeah, we probably will systematically release them all in the summer and throughout the fall. So we're thinking tentatively maybe sometime in July or August. But the film, we expect it to be finished probably next month, really.
Awesome.
And sorry. And when it does get released, where can people go watch it?
So primarily, again, Mark is he's heavily involved in the non-production side of the project. So he wants to actually get it distributed on a streaming platform. That is his passion. So he's trying to get it on maybe Amazon for distribution.
Oh,
primarily. And so if distribution doesn't occur, however, we will be streaming it on our website. So studio561films.com.
Awesome.
And I'm going to toss this over to Ryan because we're going to get into this next topic. Guys, when the next watch comes out, everyone go take a look, support it, support Jamil and Mark on their project. It was a great film project, great film to be a part of. Now we're going to get into the complete 360.
Yeah.
We're going to go from Studio 561, and we're actually going to get into the future of film as a whole. And I'm going to toss this to Ryan. Film is changing right now, as we know, and everyone has a lot of different opinions. I'm going to toss this over to Ryan to get into our first three topics.
Thank you. Yeah, so first topic is give us your opinion on what film will look like in the future.
So I think we can't have a talk about the future of film without, of course, mentioning AI.
Of course.
And this is what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be a bell curve. So I think we will start where we are right now is at the base front of the bell. And there's going to be an injection of AI throughout the next few years. It's going to get to a peak where it's heavily involved in much of what happens. However, I feel when you get to that point, I feel like humanity is going to respond by wanting more human in the films. I think it's going to reach a point where it'll be easily recognizable that this too much AI is present in this project, and they're going to crave the human touch of a film, and then we're going to see a steady decline. Because the thing that drives everything that appears in our industry, and I guess by and large in every industry, is really the response of the audience. If the audience say, we don't want AI, there will be no AI. Quite simple.
Yeah.
It's always going to be the audience. It's not necessarily a money thing. It's really an audience thing. And so it will get to a point where the films will look too artificial and it will be easily identifiable, and the audience will demand the realness. Because and I was explaining this to a student the other day. You want to see the personality of the creator in the project. I don't know if AI can do that necessarily. You want to see what Christopher Nolan does with a certain production. You want to see how Roger Deakins shoots a film. You want to see how Denny shoots a film, right? You want to see the craftsmanship of these people come out in the films. And with AI, you just won't have that humanity present in the projects. And I think the audience will demand that they see that. And so I think it's going to be just a bell curve. We will reach a peak and then we'll decline back to the more traditional independent film productions.
I mean, I can really agree with you for that, because even now, like, we're not even, as for what I think, we're not even at the peak of what AI can do.
Yes.
But I'm even right now seeing backlash of the usage of AI, even for anything. Like the other day, I had ChatGPT open. I was just doing some basic research on some random thing, and some person was like, "You really using ChatGPT?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was just some research." And they're like, "No, that's why we have Google. You need to use human-made things, not AI."
Yeah.
So that's why I can attest to that.
I think it has its place for sure, but it shouldn't replace. I think it can supplement. I think it can be used. I'm not fully against it, but it shouldn't replace. Like, AI shouldn't be generating the idea of a story or a script.
For sure.
I agree.
AI shouldn't be fully generating motion and movement that an actor should be doing. It shouldn't be generating a camera movement that a human should be operating.
Exactly.
Right? So I think in those instances, I don't think AI should be replacing the work that humans do on a film set.
I agree. And, but bouncing off of that, we're going to get into our last little thing here. And what does that mean for our position, your position, director, studio owner, or, gaffer, someone aspiring to be a director, someone in your position, or script supervisor, or even an editor? What do you think is going to look like for all those positions? Like, grip and electric, the creative side, the construction side, or the money side. How's that going to look?
Well, I think first, it will take a long time before these roles are like in a serious way replaced. I think, we are wary of it because we see it, but I think it will take quite a long time. We're talking about probably 15, 20 years before it reaches any kind of significant point where we're seriously threatened by it. I don't think that AI will be able to create in a creative, because AI is creating from what is already in existence. And the industry right now is crying out for originality, original works. And the human, I'm not fully convinced yet that AI can create as well as the human mind can. And also, it's just a collaborative work. It's like artistry. It's like, would you buy a painting that's just AI generated, for example? Or would you buy a painting that was painted by an artist, and somebody can look at this work and you can marvel in the artistry of the work? I think it's the same thing with film. You want to marvel in the artistry of how a scene is lit, how a director has thought about blocking and staging a scene, about telling a story. You as a human being, I want to hear how and see how and experience how another human being wants to tell me a story. I don't want to hear what an inanimate object wants to tell a story.
Yeah.
That there's no value in that for me as an audience member.
And
Oh,
go ahead. No,
sorry. We're just jumping the gun here. So I know that you said that you think that maybe in like 15, 20 years, it may become a real threat.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned about like how you think it's going to reach a peak before it starts to become more human again.
Yes.
Do you think what's going to come first, the 15 to 20 years or the peak before it starts to downgrade?
I think the peak is going to appear very, very shortly after that 15, 20-year period. I think it will be an exponential growth. And then there will be a steady decline because the audience will demand that they want to feel the original human work shown in the films.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, look, AI can't experience what we can experience. It's just a computer program. Now it can learn off of us, but it can't experience what we experience in our emotions, in our mind.
The people I would be worried for are like lawyers. For example, lawyers, certain research analysts, finance, wealth management people. I'm a little bit worried for them more so than film because it's a practical, hands-on thing. We're creating art using a practical, hands-on method, whereas a lawyer, you're doing research on a computer, which like ChatGPT can do, right? So I'm a little bit more worried for those kinds of professions. Film is it's like saying AI will cut your hair. Right? You know what I mean? So
oh my God!
Hey, I wouldn't
imagine
past
that.
it.
Imagine some robot.
No, somebody is definitely going to try it, right? But it's like
probably working on it right now in their mom's garage.
Oh no!
Certain crafts, I think, will all like. Who wants a robot to cut their hair?
Don't even say that. That's horrible. Don't
I love my barber, guys.
No, you can't. Yeah, I agree. And but yeah, AI is a very touchy thing, and we're gonna do a full 360 here real quick, and Ryan will get into our first hot take for today.
Yeah. Do you need to watch movies to be able to make movies?
I can answer that in two ways. So the first way is, let's think of life for a moment without any movie. Would you be able to adequately conceptualize the structure and the execution of a film? I think probably not. And so in that sense, I think, yes, you probably do need to watch movies just so you can have an education of it. Do I need to watch a movie to be inspired to make a movie or to generate an idea to make a movie? Probably not in that case.
Okay.
So I'd say probably there are two separate ways to think about that.
That's interesting because I'm a strong believer in if you're a filmmaker, you have to watch movies.
And some experienced directors will disagree with you. I think it's David Lynch, or I forget who it is, that said he would never watch films. Really? Because he wants to have a completely fresh perspective when making their movies. And then you have other people, like even Spielberg and bigger directors that will be watching movies all the time.
I mean, for me, it's studying.
Yeah,
it's like studying.
For me as well.
You know?
For me as well. I factor that into my work hours.
Literally.
When I'm watching films because I need to be... There's another side, to probably maybe a third angle. When you're collaborating with industry professionals, producers, Hollywood executives, etc., from these big studios, they know all of the films because film at the end of the day is somewhat a formula to it. There's a proven formula to most films. There's this proven structure. And by watching films, you are educating yourself of that formula and that structure. And the executives and the people that you're seeking funding from expect that you know it. And so that's another reason why I think watching films is important. I don't think you need to watch it for motivation or inspiration, but for education, it's important.
I really
I
like that
completely
answer.
agree. So I'm gonna get into our real quick fun segment, and then
Yeah.
Ryan will get into our most important last topic for today. So I'm gonna get into this story time. I want you to give a quick story, just brief story. Doesn't have to
Okay.
be too long because we only got so much time left.
Yeah.
Just a brief story on the most craziest thing that has happened to you on set,
On set. Oh.
or just making a video in general, videography, anything.
Not that many crazy things. Oh, actually, let me go with
Oh
this.
boy.
Dun dun dun.
This is probably not great. I hope the people don't see this. We had one of our more recent films, Obscura. The villain wears a mask, and they spray painted the mask, and I guess they didn't check the labels on the paint thing, and the person put it on, and then after about an hour, they were like blacking out. They had to go to the
Oh
hospital.
no!
They had to go to the hospital. It was a whole thing because they were ingesting all the fumes from it, and it was a whole thing. It was a
Oh
whole
my
That's
god.
insane.
Yeah.
Isn't
I
like
feel bad for that person.
isn't like
No,
you
it's
can't breathe in
terrible.
like fresh paint?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if they checked it or not, but yeah, that I would probably say that's probably the craziest thing. Not that many crazy things happen, but we also did film in a haunted house, and people say they heard things, and there's probably that.
hell no.
That's probably
You would never see me in a haunted house.
that's a separate story. Like the owners of the property told us that house is haunted, and so we're there, and we were filming overnight. So
Yes.
we
Oh,
were there at,
we were there
at night.
I will not be there.
Nope.
Yeah,
but-
so
yes, but guys, look, sometimes films can be a little touchy. Like sometimes things can happen, and that is what all of our professors preach: problem solving, right?
yeah,
things
well,
happen.
that's half of it.
Yeah, things happen, and you just gotta adapt and overcome. But speaking of adapting and overcoming, I think this topic is really going to be in your ballpark.
Yeah.
And when it comes to adapting and overcoming, which Ryan will get into right now.
Hot take. Second one for today. Indie films have more heart than 90% of the blockbusters coming out right now.
Is that a hot take? I don't think that's a hot take at all.
See?
I think that's just a factual thing. Well, because if you think about the big studio productions, they're produced solely, like their primary objective is profit.
Oh, for
and
sure.
so,
Looking at you, Netflix.
yeah, they'll
Marvel.
disregard. They'll place story secondary to the profitability of the proposed profitability of the film. Whereas if someone is going through the trouble of independently assembling a team of people and finding locations and getting all these resources, renting all this equipment solely out of the goodness of their heart and the passion to do it, there must be something beyond. They don't necessarily care about money in that case. Like
Yep.
they have a strong message that they want to communicate, a strong story that they feel compelled that this story has to be told. Then but de facto, there's going to be more heart in it than a studio saying, well, it's time for another Marvel movie. It's been, I think enough time has passed.
Let's make a Minecraft movie.
I think enough time has passed, guys. I think it's time for us to cash in some more right now. So can
Making
we just,
8 more.
Yeah, can we just get some guy in the room from downstairs to direct this one? Maybe another $500
Literally.
million, and we'll just call it a day. Whereas somebody will be quite happy with a $5 million budget if they make back $20 million. But this story that they need to be told is now made. I think just right away there's more heart in that.
I agree. I completely agree.
I completely agree as well.
And Ryan will get into our last.
If I can add one more thing,
Here.
that's not to say though that some of the bigger budget productions don't also have heart in them. I think Black Panther is probably an example. I think there is a lot of heart
There is.
in that project.
Yeah, I
Even though that was a studio production, I think there was a lot of heart in that film, as an example.
There is. I agree. So we're just due to time, we're gonna make this into one big broad topic, right? Obviously, you were talking about independent filmmaking is rising.
Yeah.
Right. I just want you to give your opinion on that. Why is it rising? Why do you believe this? And why is this a factual thing? And why is it something that is actually genuinely going to happen in your opinion?
It ties into exactly what I just said about profits. So the big studios are primarily concerned about profit and profit making, which is fine. I mean, that's their prerogative, right? But it does compromise story. It compromises story. It doesn't give enough independence to the creators, and they are not able to tell the story in what they believe is the true, authentic way. Unless you're like really, really good as a director. Maybe you're a Scorsese or a Nolan or a Spielberg or Tarantino or whoever, then you kind of, because of your reputation, you kind of have the capacity to tell the story any way you want. But I said 2 reasons. One, it bypasses the need to prioritize profits. And the second thing is, I think this is a good thing, but I also think it's not a good thing. Movies now are easier to make than ever.
Oh, for sure.
So anyone can just make anyone
Literally.
can just file LLC articles, start your own production company, and just make films. You're an independent film production company, right? I think that's a great thing because it gives more ability to people. It gives a stronger voice to tell your stories. In older times, you would never have the opportunity to do that. On that front, I think it's a good thing. On the negative front, I think it does saturate the market with too many bad films, and so the good ones don't end up getting seen or getting the recognition they probably need. So on that front, I think it's probably negative. But I think that's why there's a rise in independent films.
I mean, I can even attest to that movie that just came out, that 28 years later.
Yeah.
Granted, they have all the fancy equipment and whatnot,
Yes.
but their main camera is an iPhone.
Right.
You can literally do anything with this now, especially these new cameras are insane.
Well, the FX3's rise to fame was that it was used to film The Creator.
Exactly.
You know, a little camera anybody can just buy it from B&H, a little $3,000 camera. Mind you, they have, the gimbals and the lenses and all that.
All fancy
and
stuff.
the post-production work. But it just goes to show anyone can just get up and just make films. You really can. But again, that creates a big pool. And so the really good films can tend to get drowned out.
Yeah, real quick. I know we only got like about a little bit of time here. I just want you to briefly touch on this.
Yeah.
How does distribution going to look for independent films then? Because all these movies, all these big studios have the big people, right?
Yes.
They're the ones producing all the things. How is distribution going to look like for independent films then?
You have to be able to build value on your own. So let me explain. You have to have, and it comes back to the first thing we spoke about earlier in the podcast, the business acumen to know how to market this, to sell it to an audience. Because think of film not as what we know it as, but think of it just as a product, okay? You're assembling a team to build a product to then sell to the public. And so in the past, what would happen with the studios is they would rely on the bigger production companies to market and sell their product. Nowadays, especially with the rise of digital media marketing, you can conceptualize and in some cases operationalize the marketing of your film on your own. That's number one. Number two, there is also a rise of intermediaries, so distributors like A24, who are recognizing these independent works and are realizing the financial potential of these movies.
I agree.
And so I think just, again, understanding how to market, understanding how to get this in front of people, how to prepare a pitch, a sales pitch to outlets, because the outlets are there. At the end of the day, it's all about money for these people, right? It doesn't really matter if the film is done by an experienced film person or whatever. It really comes down to money. And if you can sell this to an executive or to a distributor or whoever and sell it in a convincing way, it will get sold. And then that's it. So the onus is on the director or producers or whoever is handling it for their respective projects to do the research that's necessary to know how to appeal to a certain distributor. That's where a lot of people don't want to do the work. They'll probably create some blanket thing, but you have to do the deep research. Here is a distributor that can get this into select theaters, that can get this onto the streaming platform. What is the best way for me to tailor a sales pitch to this person? How can I sell this thing that we just created? And in some cases, you have to prop it up when you sell it. Sometimes the film isn't as great, but it's how you sell it.
For sure.
Trailers and the whole thing.
Yeah, awesome. So I know we have a few more minutes left, so we have a few more topics to kind of hit. So someone that's starting off in the industry or even is already in the industry, what is your advice for them to tell them to get into like a position like you? You're a co-owner of a studio, you're now in directing. What's your advice for them?
I'm always very cautious when I answer this question because I still think I'm in the early phases of my career. I still think I have a lot to learn. So I'm very cautious when offering advice to people. The best thing I probably would say is just do the work. Just go through the process of making the films. even if you have to do it by yourself. My first 4 films, or 4 out of my first 5 films, were done by 2 people, myself and my good friend Richard. I would operate camera, he would operate sound, and both of us handle the lights. I'd say just go through the process of doing it, because that's the best way to learn. Be like a sponge, like just learn everything that's happening. Don't get caught up in ego. I say to my friends all the time, I say 2 things. Number 1, you're nobody until you're somebody. Like all of us are nobodies until you're somebody. Okay? And we're all just doing the same thing. We're all just on the same train. There's no need for egos. None of us are bigger than the other. We're all just trying to get to a point, right? And then the second thing is isolation doesn't help anybody. You have to reach out. You have to collaborate. You have to meet people. You have to get out of your shell. That's kind of, to an extent, what I try to do with you guys. Yes. You have to reach out, meet people, share ideas, and see how we can establish added value. So in our case, I try to do mutually added value all the time. So you guys come on my film sets. Maybe later on you can direct a project with Studio 561, and we provide you the resources to do that. So that's kind of my thinking for new people, I guess.
Awesome. That's good. And that's for anybody who watches our show who's a student, or anybody that's thinking about even being in film. You have another career. Take it from, people that we have on the podcast, like Jamil. He has a different path. Everyone has their own different path, but take his advice. You never know. His path might be the same path as yours, right? So great advice from you. I'm going to get into this next one, then Ryan will get into the one after this. We always like doing this with we want to, with guests on the podcast, because, of course, we're all filmmakers. We all love movies, right? And at the end of the day, this podcast is about movies, right? So we're going to get into your top 3 favorite movies of all time.
I was asked this question last night in my class, actually.
Really?
No way.
Yeah. Because we had our first class last night, and they wanted to know like what my top 3 were. So I will say one of them is relatively new, simply because I just think it's just a flawless movie. My favorite movie is The Dark Knight.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes.
I think The Dark Knight is just so good. I know people will push back and say, "Oh, it's because of Heath Ledger's performance." No, I think the film. I had the privilege of watching it in theaters actually when it first came out.
What?
And I didn't realize just how big a movie this is until years later. I'm like, this is a phenomenal movie.
So lucky.
I love 1917. Simply because of
I love that movie.
Yes.
It's not the most captivating story, but the technical spectacle of it is just off the charts. The charts. I think it's one of the best films ever made purely from a technical specification standpoint, and how they executed it. And then I love Top Gun Maverick.
Oh my God, that movie's so good.
Yeah.
I was just watching that before I left.
One of the best movies. So you saw F1, right?
So F1 is very close too. I know it's the same director. I know it's Joseph Kosinski. I'm loving his style, I have to say.
God,
I love his style of directing. I would say I judge my favorite movies based on how many times I've seen it. And
That's very valid.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for the old films too. Like I love Pirates of the Caribbean. Like I grew up watching that.
Yes.
I've seen The Dark Knight many times. And I've rewatched Top Gun Maverick a lot also. So I think probably those 3. I've been watching a lot of older films too, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from those films as well. Just how I think the stories back then were better. Today we have more technically advanced films, but the stories were richer back in the day. You think about a film like Gladiator, for example, like phenomenal story, and that's what I look at first. So I'd probably say those are probably my favorite films. I love Interstellar also.
Yes, that's our favorite film.
Yeah.
That's my favorite film, and that's your favorite film, right?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I need to figure it out for myself. I go in between that and Avatar. I feel like Avatar.
First one?
Yeah. I feel like that one still has my heart. But that's funny because I literally just watched The Dark Knight for the very first time like a month ago.
Wow.
I know.
What do you think?
Oh, it was great. I loved it. I'm not a huge fan of superheroes. That's why I was kind of procrastinating on it. But this one was like, you need to watch it.
No, but it's almost not a superhero film.
It wasn't.
Actually.
And that's why I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's there are a lot of this is a whole podcast entirely separate from this, but I could talk about The Dark Knight an entire podcast. Just the layers to it, the humanity in it, the whole adage of good versus evil. The whole thing of Two-Face representing White Knight, Dark Knight.
Oh, Two-Face was awesome.
The whole visual representation of it, I think is just pure genius. The writing is phenomenal.
And movies like Top Gun Maverick and F1, I have never felt movies that make you feel more in a movie.
The two best experiences I've had in a movie theater were Endgame, Infinity Endgame.
Yeah, of course.
Avengers Endgame, I should say, and then Top Gun Maverick. We were in that sequence when Maverick is proven that the mission can be accomplished. Everyone in the theater was on the edge of their seats, and I don't mean that in the metaphorical sense. We were literally on the edge of our seat. Like, wow, what an engrossing scene.
Great movie. And we're getting close to the end of the episode here. Ryan will get into our last little hot take for today.
Last hot take for today. The director's cut is often worse. Editing is a love language. Sometimes restraint is the art.
Yeah.
Besides Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes. So you're saying like what my opinion is on that?
Yeah.
Yes. The more I've done films, the more I realize less is more. Sometimes you want to do a lot of flashy things, a lot of cuts, a lot of elaborate shots, but I've just been realizing that less is a lot more. You can do a less elaborate shot and communicate the same thing, if not better, and subtlety lands better with an audience, especially independent projects. The big budget rely on the flashiness, the CGI, the big action sequences, but in the smaller budget projects, when you as a director step back and let the actor dominate a performance, like don't let the camera distract the audience. Let the actor own the scene, and be very subtle about it. I think it lands better with an audience.
I agree with that.
And me and him are learning that.
Yeah.
Literally whilst in school. But now this last little thing we're going to do is something that me and him do on our show usually, and we're going to do all three of us.
Yeah.
Give us your movie recommendation for the audience this week.
This week, what have I seen recently? Oh man. I should have thought about this before the set. Like, it can just be like recent movies or just
any
overall?
movie you want the audience to watch that you personally recommend.
Okay, I think watch Django Unchained by Tarantino.
That is a great movie.
Yes, watch Memento by Christopher Nolan.
You were just talking about that yesterday.
Just talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, watch Memento. But you'll probably need to watch it a few times, though. You can't watch it only once.
It's like Inception.
Yeah, no, it's mind-bending. And I watched it again recently and realized just how good it is. I knew it was good, but I realized just how good it is. And I would say watch from a visually stunning perspective, watch Blade Runner 2049.
I was literally telling you that in the car before we got here.
Yeah.
What are you reading our minds? Like,
yeah.
No lie. I was literally telling him that. I was like, bro, Ryan Gosling. We were talking about Ryan Gosling and Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And I was like, he has to watch Blade Runner 2049.
I would say Blade Runner 2049 is probably visually the most stunning film I've ever seen.
It's
like
very
really
brilliant.
I told you.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it now.
Brilliant visuals. Like, if you could just write a cinematography textbook from that film.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. What is your movie recommendation for this week?
You know what? I'm surprised you didn't get this one because we were just talking about this one as well. Oppenheimer.
Yes, I watched a lot of scenes from Oppenheimer. It's a lot to digest.
Oh,
I will say. Phenomenal film, of course, Academy Award winner. I just think from those other films, there's so much to learn from those before you reach to a film. Like, I feel like diving into Oppenheimer is a lot.
Yeah.
And just he should have pre-warned you guys, but that movie's like 3 something hours long. It's literally a documentary. So my movie recommendation, you're talking about old movies. I have recommended this movie before, but I have to recommend. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Casablanca.
Oh wow.
We have to watch that as part of our film program.
There we go. I love that movie. I think it's such the way the shots are shot is very modern, and the story is such a classic, like such an interesting love story. I don't know. There's something about that movie it's old, but it's still great.
It is.
That's my movie recommendation for you guys. So we are getting to the end here. Jamil, thank you very much for being on this podcast today. We really appreciate it. And where can they find you? Social media?
Well, follow me at jeremiel.james. You can follow my studio at Studio 561 Films. I think those are the two main pages. Yeah.
Awesome. And we're going to do a couple shout outs here. Ryan, where can they find us?
You can find us at In a Nutshell Podcast on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, all the podcasts. You can find me at Ryan Filmworks on TikTok and Instagram. How about you?
You can find me at The Filmmaker Daniel Movie Reviews on TikTok and at The Filmmaker Daniel on Instagram. And shout out to Eric, our engineer today.
Woo-hoo!
And shout out to Ben Podcastro, Podcast Junkies here in Boca Raton. And thank you, Jamil, for being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Ryan. Thank you starting off the year strong. And as always, I'm Daniel, and this is Ryan, this is Jamil. And as always, take care. See you in the next one.